program mode is when you're going to set into any program, you push the program mode. Whether you're going to program the towers for skip feeding or inserting. Be sure and read your manual and look over the explanation of each one of the buttons and what they do and how to program the collator. Your next one is jump. Now, what jump does, it helps you jump from one program to another. Say you're in program 5 and you want to jump to program 6. You can just push the jump button to allow you to jump from one program to another, back and forth between the two. Clear is just what it says. It clears whatever program you have it set at. If you have it set at program 5 and you push clear, it erases all the information you've had input into program 5 and basically opens you up to set up another program. And now at the bottom you have your frequency adjustment or sequencer. Basically what that does is shortens the distance between the sets. So the further you run it over there, the shorter the distance between the sets, and it produces more sets that way. So that you can adjust your speed, to the fastest speed that operates reliably. Now we're going to go to the each individual bin control switch. Now at this part here, you have I'm going to go to this tower here. You have the first light, which is your green light. It tells that that bin is activated. It means it's working. Then you have the bottom yellow light that you can see it has like a little trough diagram right next to it. Well, what that does, it tells that's your bin empty light. When that one comes on, then it tells you that your bin's empty. Your second light from the top is your miss, and that one will flash whenever you have a miss feed. That one will be illuminated. If you have a double, then the next one will be illuminated. So the top one tells you the bin is on. The second one tells you that you had a miss. The third one tells you that you fed a double. The fourth one tells you your bin is out of paper. Then you've got your selector switch. Now this is for your miss and doubles detect. When you turn that off, it turns your miss and doubles detect off. When you turn this bottom one up and down, you'll notice it has arrows there and thin lines, and then it has thicker lines right below it. Okay, the thin lines indicate thin paper, which is, up to like 80-pound paper, and then the next one indicates heavy stock, which is like 100-pound or 10-pound chrome coat. And sometimes you have to use a heavy stock mode if you're collating a sheet, especially a coated sheet that has solids on both front and back, because it doesn't have as much to do with the thickness of the sheet as the opacity of the paper, which includes the printing that's on it. And you may find sometimes that toner printed chrome coat and toner printed heavy sheets, you may have to turn this off totally. You may just have to run without a doubles detect. But that's on rare occasions. So this switch then, up is light paper, the middle is heavy stock, and the bottom, your doubles detector is turned off. Now, interestingly, in this mode, your miss detect will still work, but your doubles detect won't. In this mode, neither one of the detectors will work. So that's each one of your bin controls. Now, you have some controls over the air and height positioning. You have 3 controls here to concern yourself with. This one is basically air blast for each bin. It just controls how much air is blown into the paper. Because, you don't always run the same thickness of paper in each bin. You may have, 10-point chrome coat up here, 20-pound bond here, 80-pound coated there. I mean, it can, many times collating, you can run 5 or 6 different weights and types of paper. So you're given an air blast adjustment on each and every bin. This adjusts the total vacuum. Now, one thing about this control, it does increase the vacuum, but it also narrows the vacuum down. If you look underneath here, you'll see that you have green belts with holes in them. It's called a tractor feed. Now the way this works is above there's a manifold where the air is sucked upward in the vacuum. Sucks through these holes. So it actually picks the paper up. It levitates the top sheet and then holds the sheet there until the computer fires a clutch that turns these belts. Then these belts activate and start moving forward and move the sheet with it. And that's how the system works. Well, when you slide this in all the way, you're not just increasing the vacuum, but you're also concentrating the vacuum in that far 3 inches of the paper. So you have to be careful, because on light stock, if you push it all the way over, this side of the sheet will fall down and crash into your guide here, and it won't feed. So you have to have this out far enough to where your vacuum is grabbing at least half the sheet, maybe a little bit more, or all the way out for wide stock, you know, like 11 by 17, 12 by 18. This control, when you turn this knob up and down, you can see you have a little arrow indicator here. When you turn this knob counterclockwise, it raises the bin higher. Clockwise lowers the bin. So that's just adjusting your bin height. And of course, again, it has to do with paper. If you have any experience with sheet-fed printing presses, in order to, sometimes on heavy stock, you have to run your pile up a little higher than you would on light stock, because it doesn't aerate as well. Now, the Bourg system doesn't really blow the sheets up the same way, in the same manner that a sheet-fed press does. All the air blow does on the Bourg is basically separate the top sheet. That's the whole purpose, is to blow enough air between the top 3 or 4 sheets so that the vacuum picks the sheet up, and that's how the system works. So those are basically the controls on your towers that you have to concern yourself with. And then finally, on the exit. Now this is one that's overlooked many times and creates all kinds of problems. This is your upper eject roller, and then underneath there on this back jogger you see push back and forth is your lower eject roller. There's a small button, a knob right here that has a set screw on the end of it. You have to open this panel door to access it. There's a set screw on the end of this adjustment knob. You loosen the set screw. It's a 2.5mm set screw, and then you can turn this adjustment, raising and lowering the eject roller, and then thereby increasing it or decreasing the pressure. Now the way you check it is you just push it, you turn the roller with your fingers, and you want just a good firm grip. You want this roller to grip that roller really well, but you don't want it so tight. You can see how your top roller is bouncing up and down? Okay, I would back off on that pressure just a little bit. You can almost feel how the back jogger is hesitating, snapping back. If this is down too far, what will happen is the back jogger won't come back all the way, and you'll get misjogged sets. But it'll operate fine like it is right here, except maybe if we were running a really heavy set, thick set. But at all times, that bottom roller has to turn. You have to make sure that there's enough pressure on the top roller to make that bottom eject roller, the lower eject roller, turn. It's very important. Otherwise, your sheets, when they come out, instead of falling the last sheet into this receiver tray, it'll end up getting hung up in here, and then you'll have misjogged sheets and paper jams. So that basically covers the controls and all that on the collator. And now the next thing is checking if you have a problem with a paper jam, or if you have to check your sensors. Right here on the side you have these 2 little wing nuts. Now what you do is you turn the wing nut to the left, and that releases this plate. But be very careful when removing the plate, because behind there is your electric eye. And if you just grab this thing and jerk it, pull it out, you can damage the electric eye. So pull it out carefully. See how I'm tilting it back, and then slide it towards you very carefully. You can see the electric eye right in there, a little black sensor. And if you just jerk this thing out of there, it is possible you can break that off or damage it. So now that we've got the unit out, you can see very clearly your feed, tractor feed, the belts with the holes in them, and then you've got your exit rollers here. Those are the ones that grab the sheet and send it into the conveyor. So you can easily clean dust, clean your sensors, and check out your machine. And then when you go to put this unit back in, again, be very careful, making sure that you slide the unit down underneath the sensor, and then on this side, pop it in carefully, turn it, and then lock your. And what those wing nuts are, they're twist locks. They're not threaded. You just push it in until it goes in all the way, then you turn it and you'll feel it lock in place. It's like almost like a spring-loaded retainer. And of course, this completes our training video on the BST vacuum feed collator. We'll have other training videos to follow this one. And if you have any questions, please feel free to let us know. Thank you.